been served.
It's served.
What happened to every WWE release star in 2024? Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new videos on Wrestlelamia XL. Kevin Patrick. Our fans were stunned when it was announced that Kevin Patrick had been let go by WWE. Patrick had worked extremely hard in the commentary role, and although he wasn't exactly Jim Ross in the booth, he was improving week by week, and it seemed like a massive shame for WWE to let him go. The release was said to be amicable, and according to Patrick, during an interview with Chris Van Vliet, he was now able to focus on football. Football was always going to win. If there was ever a collision, and there was one on the horizon, very clearly on the horizon, if I'm in Boise, Idaho on a Friday night, for example, doing SmackDown, how am I going to be in the studio in New York at 1 o'clock on Saturday? This was coming. I also wasn't their long-term guy. They needed someone who's all in. Michael Cole has missed 2 shows in 27 years. Patrick made a plethora of friends during his stint in the company, so it's likely that the door isn't closed on a WWE return, well, someday. Amari Miller. Amari Miller was let go in early 2024, and according to Miller during an interview with WrestlingNews.co, her release came down to WWE not having anything for her in the creative aspect. It was mostly just creative, like they didn't have anything for me creatively. My contract was ending anyway. Coach was saying that he will always put his name behind me if he needed, so there's a very good, tight relationship between me and WWE right now. And Miller is still continuing a wrestling journey, wrestling in both Ring of Honor and Stardom. Hopefully one day she finds herself back in WWE. Indus Sher. Now both Veer and Sangha were 2 of the release names that didn't come as a surprise in 2024. Both men, particularly Veer, were set for big time pushes at various stages, but they never just panned out. Now ever since Veer, real name Rinku Singh, was released from WWE, he seems to have given up the Stardom lifestyle and has now become a Hindu monk. A Hindu monk who renounces worldly life is called a sannyasi, and this means that Veer has virtually given up all materialistic belongings in life. As for Sangha, not much is known, but he may be following a career in acting in Bollywood. Reggie. And most fans know Reggie for his run on the main roster and his involvement in the feud between Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Reggie has also had a somewhat notable run as scripts in NXT, and he was evidently a hard worker that was well liked. Reggie has lit the world on fire since his WWE release, as he has wrestled for various promotions including GCW and Ring of Honor. Reggie has shown that you can still make a living wrestling for companies other than WWE or AEW, and he deserves a ton of praise for picking himself back up after his sudden release. Xia Li. Xia Li handled her WWE exit in the best way, as she was extremely respectful and even thanked Triple H and other talent. Li quickly found herself signing for TNA, and the former WWE star has been a fantastic addition to the stacked women's roster there. Cameron Grimes. WWE clearly brought Cameron Grimes up to the main roster without a creative plan in place. Grimes had just lingered around the main roster with nothing to do, and when he was released it was a total disappointment, as WWE had just wasted his run. According to Grimes, during an appearance on Busted Open Radio, he was promised that he would always have a job in WWE. Literally the last time I was at TV, I had a pretty high executive telling me because, I was worried. Starting the stock market gimmick, it made me see businesses in a different light. Following these companies and playing with stocks, I would see things in a different light. I knew that I haven't worked in over a year and I'm making a decent salary, so I knew that if someone wants to look at the books, I'm going to be the first person that's going to be cut if you're looking at strictly a money-wise. But if you're looking at it is like, okay, well, this is a talent that can do something for us, then they're going to keep me. I was told by a high executive last week on Friday that I would always have a job here. I would never have to worry about losing my job here. Sadly, that wasn't the case, and since his WWE exit, Grimes has reverted to his Trevor Lee name and has taken the independent scene by storm, winning titles all across the globe. Xyon Quinn. Xyon Quinn was mostly known for his work on NXT as well as his very brief run on the main roster in summer 2024, getting demolished by Bron Breakker. Since his WWE departure, Quinn has found himself wrestling for the TNA Explosion show, but it's not been confirmed if Quinn is signed to an official TNA contract. Von Wagner. Von Wagner was one of the standout stars of NXT 2.0, and when he was released in 2024, it was confirmed that Wagner was listed as a main roster talent. Now, Wagner hasn't wrestled since his WWE exit, and it's unclear if there's any interest from other companies for his talents. Jinder Mahal. Now, it was a huge surprise when Jinder Mahal was released from his contract in 2024. Mahal was in a WWE title match on Raw just before his release, and it looked like WWE were actually getting set to push him once again. Mahal reflected on his release during an interview with Chris Van Vliet, and according to Mahal, he was always planning on taking a break from WWE. Started off the year with The Rock, had the WWE Championship match. 1 week later, I'm not in the Royal Rumble, which I thought was very weird. We talked to talent relations and said, listen, if there's nothing for us, we can go our separate ways. Sure enough, a few months later, we went our separate ways. We didn't ask for our releases, it was just, hey, if there's no plans, we can discuss going our separate ways. My contract I signed for 5 years in April 2019. They added on 18 months for injury time, and that was remaining on my contract. When I signed for the 5 years, I told myself, after 5 years, I have to go and do something else now. I had my mind made up that in 2024, I was going to at least temporarily go away from WWE. Since his release, Mahal still finds himself wrestling on the independent circuit, wrestling names such as Joe Hendry and Bully Ray. He's now going by the ring name of Raj Desi. Gable Steveson. WWE had high hopes for Gable Steveson, but he wasn't just progressing at the level they wanted. Steveson was also a controversial name, which certainly didn't help his standing in the company. According to The Observer, Steveson was on a big money contract before WWE decided he wasn't cutting it. All these cuts were done on the same day. A lot of people in the amateur world are going, oh my god, how horrible if they cut him 3 weeks ago. But they probably weren't thinking cuts 3 weeks ago. The reality is it's another one. His contract was a very big money contract and he wasn't cutting it. That's the thing. Now Steveson is now hoping to try his hand at MMA. Maybe hopefully that brings him more success than his WWE run. Steveson had also signed a 3-year deal with the Buffalo Bills of the NFL. However, he was even released by the Bills in August of 2024. Indi Hartwell. According to Indi Hartwell, she didn't see her WWE release coming in 2024, and for good reason. Hartwell was being regularly featured on main roster programming, and it seemed like an odd call to release the former NXT Women's Champion. She only recently saw out her 90-day no-compete clause, and now that Hartwell is free to work again, she will likely remain wrestling in the US. Tegan Nox. Tegan Nox's WWE release in 2024 was extremely frustrating, as despite being brought back to the company after initial release, WWE never had any creative plans for her in place. Injuries were definitely a hindering factor in Nox being given a push, but even still, Nox was utterly wasted on the main roster. Now, Tegan Nox is building her return to the independent scene, as only a week ago she was made a free agent. She currently has a booking in South Wales on May 18th. Dijak. When Dijak was called up to the main roster in 2024, fans were elated. Dijak had an outstanding second run in NXT and now he was ready to take the main roster by storm. Unfortunately, this main roster run never got going as he was released from his WWE contract. It's never been reported on why WWE didn't decide to renew his contract, however it's possible that WWE simply had no creative plans for him on the main roster. Dijak has worked a number of independent dates since his WWE release and now he finds himself in MLW. Odyssey Jones. Odyssey Jones was set to be involved in a major storyline with the New Day on WWE television, taking Big E's place in the New Day, but that was until he was mysteriously pulled from all WWE marketing and programming. Well, it turned out that Jones had domestic abuse allegations made against him and WWE decided to outright fire him. Jones then went quiet following his release before resurfacing in early 2025. In a video posted to social media, he stated that he was innocent and that he had an injunction in place and was pursuing legal action. Drew Gulak. Ronda Rousey was one of the first names to bring allegations against Drew Gulak. Rousey claimed that Gulak pulled her drawstring on her pants backstage in 2022, and Gulak was investigated by WWE, and just a few weeks later, he was let go by the company. Triple H and Shawn Michaels would claim that Gulak's contract simply expired, however it was widely reported that he was labeled a bully backstage. Now he's since worked a number of independent dates, but it's now going to be a tough task for the former Cruiserweight Champion to win back the support of fans, especially with him using the allegations as a promotional angle in TNA. MVP. Wrestlers speaking bad about WWE upon leaving isn't anything new, and MVP didn't exactly have any positive thoughts to say about the current leadership. Following his exit, MVP was interviewed by Drop the Heat and he was asked why he felt he needed to leave WWE. He mentioned, "I didn't want to re-sign and let it be known that I wasn't going to re-sign because the new management in place. I don't care where you work, whatever you do for a living, when new management comes in, it's good for some people and not good for other people. New people come in, old people go. So I just felt like it was definitely time to go because the new management just wasn't for me, and it ain't for him." Now MVP has since found himself in AEW where he's reformed the stable formerly known as the Hurt Business. Bobby Lashley. One of the wrestlers who suffered under Triple H's leadership was Bobby Lashley. The game and Lashley never had a connection, and this is what ultimately led to him exiting the company. WWE just never had any concrete plans in place, which was incredibly frustrating, as numerous mega matches such as Lashley versus a heel Roman Reigns were never explored. However, Lashley now finds himself signed with TNA, and since signing his AEW deal, he's been presented as one of their top stars. Ricochet. Ricochet's reasoning for leaving WWE in 2024 made all the sense in the world. Ricochet explained during an interview with Chris Van Vliet that newer talent were being pushed before him, and he wanted to sign with a company that reignited his spark for wrestling. I felt like I was starting over with the Bron Breakers and the Ilya and the Carmelos and just new guys coming in. I was going to go to whoever ignited that spark in me again, and I felt like AEW could be that gasoline for my fire. I felt like I made the right choice. Now, it's widely reported that WWE attempted to re-sign Ricochet with a new contract, but he would sign for AEW instead, hoping that Tony Khan's promotion would turn his fortune around. Ricochet has been playing a heel in AEW, a heel that gets mocked at quite frequently. And Baron Corbin. A former Mr. Money in the Bank Baron Corbin deserves all the credit in the world for getting numerous characters over. Corbin was given a range of characters during his WWE tenure, and the majority of them were well received. Corbin's most notable work came with the bum-ass Corbin character, which was a character that showed WWE that Corbin had what it took to deliver compelling character work. But he struggled in 2024 to keep his place on the main roster, as despite a vastly underrated second run in NXT, Triple H just didn't know what to do with him. Corbin was said to be popular backstage, and he was established as being one of the safest workers in the entire company. And in the aftermath of his WWE release, Corbin has explored new ventures including jiu-jitsu and competing for the GCW promotion. But there you have it, folks. What happened to every WWE wrestler released in 2024 and where they are now? Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.